Number 29. Ashcharyavad pashyati kaschidena Ashcharyavad vadati tathaichanya Ashcharyavacchainam anya shrunoti Shrutvapyenam vedana chaiva kaschid. Who'll read? Rajan?
Hardly any great soul perceives the soul as marvelous. Scarce another great soul likewise speaks thereof as marvelous, and scarce another worthy one hears of it as marvelous, while there are some who know it not even on hearing of it.
Okay. Let's just do the meanings first and then I will rephrase the whole verse for you. Kaschid, someone. Pashyati, sees, perceives. Pashyati, sees. Enam, this soul. Ascharyavat, as amazing, as marvelous. So, this much if I rephrase, hardly anyone actually sees this soul as something marvelous. 90% of people are not even consciously aware that there is one soul. They are just living in the rat race. So they are not even aware कि soul है, आत्मा है, क्या है.
So even at the time of this writing of this text, it was like this.
Yes, it's eternal. This is eternal. This is called human condition. Hardly, and some of the things that were written in those days were actually predictions for Kali Yuga, because they knew that in Kali Yuga the most needed. So kaschit, hardly anyone sees kashyati enam, this soul, as ascharyavat, as amazing. Cha, and anya, others. Tatha, thus. Eva, indeed. Vadati, speak. Ascharyavat, as amazing. So hardly anyone sees this soul as amazing, and therefore, if so many people don't see it as amazing, there will be very few who will even speak of it as amazing. Cha, and anya, others. Shrunoti, hear this soul, enam, as amazing. All the words are same, only one is sees, one then next is speaks, then the next is hears. Cha, and kaschit, others. Eva, even. Shrutva, having heard. Having heard what? That this soul is amazing. Na Veda, don't understand it. Even after hearing about it, they don't understand it. Na Veda, don't understand. So if you go back to the verse, it says, hardly some rare enlightened person perceives this soul as marvelous. So starting with the least number of people who get enlightened, hardly anyone gets enlightened or self-realized to see that this soul is marvelous. Hardly anyone will be enlightened. Scarce, likewise, another will speak of this soul as amazing. So, least common is a self-realized person. Then there are some other people who speak, but very few. Gurus, teachers. They will speak of the soul as marvelous. And scarce, another, even less common, is those who hear of it as marvelous. Who is also scarce? Students.
Why is it called marvelous?
It's not marvelous. Why it's called marvelous, I'm going to tell you, don't worry. And while there are some that even on hearing it is marvelous, you don't understand why Maharshi is asking now. Why marvelous? Even on hearing of it, they don't consider it to be marvelous. Okay? So there are few who know it as marvelous, they are self-realized. There are fewer who, there are more who speak about it, then there are some who only hear of it, and then there are some who, even after hearing about it, don't understand why it is marvelous. Okay. The fact is that intellect and being a very clever person or having intellectual prowess is not sufficient to understand Atma. You do not understand Atma through intellect. Because intellect came after Atma. Atma created intellect, so intellect cannot understand Atma. In Kathopanishad, there is one quote. It says, and it's almost the same as this verse. It says, a teacher who is self-realized is very rare. Means you can have a teacher, but the teacher may not be self-realized. The opportunity to hear instructions about the science of self-realization from such a teacher is even rarer. So there may be a teacher, but a teacher may not be realized. To have a teacher, and the teacher should be self-realized, and that you get an opportunity to hear about Brahma Gyan from such a teacher is even more rare. And it says, if by good fortune such an opportunity presents itself, that teacher is also there, the teacher is also self-enlightened, self-realized, and you are getting a chance to hear from such a students who can comprehend this topic are the rarest. So much purusharth is required. So much purusharth is required. So a teacher who is enlightened will never ever get disappointed if the students don't understand. He will never get disappointed if the students cannot do the sadhana. They'll never give up on the student if the student is not making progress, because they know that to understand this is an extremely rare thing. You should be blessed if you can even intellectually understand this. And then through your own purusharth, your aparoksh anubhuti will come by yourself. So why do the gurus call this Atma marvelous? What is this word marvelous? Okay, marvelous is something. Forget marvelous. Let's take the soul, because they say the soul they call marvelous. So can you describe the soul? Are there any words to describe soul? We can say eternal, we can say universal, we can say all these. Purna, what are the words we said? Vyapak, and what? Nitya. We can say they are all pointers, they are indicators. But if I say Atma is Purna, now can you draw Purna? Can you explain Vyapak? You can't. They are indicators. They are just fingers pointing to the moon. I have not got the moon in my hand, but my finger helps you to direct your vision towards the sky where the moon is there, right? So, marvelous is just another intellectual description. It is not something concrete, because Atma itself cannot be concrete. It is something which is not verbalized. It cannot be verbalized, but it can be experienced. It cannot be described, it cannot be verbalized, but you can experience it. When can you experience it? In your deepest stillness and silence. So one poet was asked, why can you not describe Atma? And what he wrote was so beautiful. So he has experienced the Atma in his deep silence. He has experienced the Atma in his stillness. He has felt that. And he says, now describe it. And he says, why can I not describe it? He says, what the eyes saw, they could not describe because the eyes do not have words. What the eyes saw, the eyes cannot describe because the eyes don't have words. And the tongue, which has words, cannot describe because the tongue did not see it. It's beautiful. I really loved it. So basically what it means is each organ of perception has its own limit of perception. Eyes can only see. Eyes cannot hear. Eyes cannot speak. Nose can only smell. It cannot speak or see. So all our organs are limited in their faculty and their powers. And therefore, to experience that Atma, you have to rise above the senses. You have to transcend the senses, and you can only experience it. It can only be an anubhuti. It can only be an experience which cannot be verbalized or described. So each of us have two different faculties. One is the faculty of the intellect, logic, reasoning, thinking powers, and all this training we get in schools and colleges. How to make the intellect sharper, think more logically, and lawyers learn also how to prove everything right which is not right and everything wrong which is not wrong. All this is logic and reasoning and intellect. And then there's a whole other power that we have, each of us, which is not trained in any educational institution, which is the power of intuition. And the highest thing that power of intuition can express itself is that the soul realizes itself. So it can only be realized through the power of intuition and not the power of intellect. Now the word for marvelous they have used is ascharya. So what is this ascharya? If you see a definition, it says it's a state of wonderment. Wonderment. And this state of wonderment the intellect cannot explain. It can be experienced but not explained. What does the intellect do, you know? It's doing it even now. It gives running commentary on everything. All the time, our intellect's only job is continuously giving running commentary. Even now, at this moment, your intellect is giving you running commentary on what I'm saying. What is this? Is it true? I don't know. How can I understand this? Something is true, but everything I don't. Just very, very obtuse kind of knowledge. All this is going on. That time, last week or 2 weeks back, I went to that ashram in Khar. Swamiji was giving katha. I was sitting here. Then there was one pillar, and on the other side there was one guy. And every sentence Swamiji would speak of the katha, this guy was giving commentary to the guy sitting behind him. It was like I'm hearing two kathas, you know, continuously, and I'm trying to shut it off, but something, ye acha hai, they kya bol raha hai, all. This is what our intellect is doing. Continuously, it is judging this, that. But there are some moments when you see something and you go, have you ever had experience like that? Huh? At that moment, why only thing you can say is,
You can't explain.
there is no word at that moment to express it. The intellect fails. Intellect fails. Wow! Something you say, right? Like when we went to Kailash, and the first time we saw Mount Kailash, and then the minute the word comes, that marvelous thing goes down. So when you feel that aha thing, words, intellect does not work, and that is aparoksh anubhuti. You cannot use intellect at that moment. No word will come to you. You will be in wonderment, and that is the meaning of marvelous. Babies, I think, till they can speak, they are in wonderment. And I think once the intellect starts waking up and making its judgments, because from that time only they are doing judgments, I think the faculty of speech starts and that wonderment goes away. That is why they almost lose that contact with their Atma, the divine, when they can start speaking. So if you go to chapter 7, and see verse number 3. Bhagwan is, I think, saying the same thing. Read it together. Hardly one among thousands of men strives to realize me. Of those striving yogis again, some rare one, devoting himself exclusively to me, knows me in reality. So, it doesn't just happen. You have to use these two powers, Vivek and Purusharth. These two have to be used. Okay? And now I know we are a little late, but I'm going to finish verse number 30 because it is the conclusion of this entire series of Sankhya Yoga. Let's just finish it fast. Verse number 30.